wanted to get a live stream in. Just wanted to talk a bunch of different stuff concerning boxing. Don't worry, you guys. I'm gonna talk about the Golden State Warriors victory over the Celtics. It's coming. You just got to give me some time, but I got to get a lot of boxing videos off. Probably shit. Damn. Fucking. Sorry about that. Probably Tuesday. I probably ain't gonna do no overtime. I'm probably just gonna stay home and do videos. It just really is on. Well, really depends on what happens tonight. What time I get off tonight. But you didn't hear me talk. I'm talk about a lot of different things. Of course, I'm gonna talk about Devin Haney. I'm gonna talk, George Kambosos Jr. I'm gonna bring up some things, give people a reminder, because you love to give people a refresher and remind people of some things. What's going on, man? So, just gotta talk about a lot of different things concerning about it, but don't worry. The Golden State Warriors video will be coming in about an hour. You know what I'm saying? I'll do a recap of that game. But you've heard me talk about this before, and you've heard me say, the media getting caught in the crossfire, like when you have these promotional companies book and schedule fights on the same night. And basically, for one person, you kind of could say it didn't go well for him. And I just want to say shout out to Steve Fulton, good dude. I just feel bad about what happened with him. Basically, nobody talked about his fight except me. Nobody covered that fight, like basically in the media circuit. People that cover boxing, that actually go to fights. None of the big wigs covered the fight, and I'm not gonna say no names because I don't want it to come across I'm hating, I'm throwing shade, I'm all that baloney. I don't want it to look like I'm clout chasing or none of that stuff, so I'm not gonna say names. I'm just gonna say the bigger platforms, the bigger boxing platforms haven't even mentioned that fight whatsoever. While you got to see two brothers put on clinics. You got to see Devin Haney put on a clinic versus George Kambosos, and then you got to see Steve Fulton out. Well, basically nobody got to see it because I was the only one that talked about that fight. And shout out to my son. My son did a really good job covering that fight. I sent my son to cover that fight in Minneapolis. My son lives out there. He, graduated from college out there. And good job to my son for covering that fight on my behalf. He did a real good job. And your pops is proud of you. And I'm talking about that was his first time out. But then again, he built like that because he, you know what I'm saying? Because he like his old man. But nevertheless, I got to see Steve Fulton put on a clinic, a great display of boxing circles around Danny Roman. And as you can see, nobody talked about this fight, and I'm gonna dig deep into talking about this in videos. Once again, the fake pro-black media then expose themselves again. I don't expose nobody, they expose themselves. I'm gonna talk about that later on. But yeah, I was the only one that talked about that fight. That's why, the post-fight press conference got so many views. Because one dude said, I'm the only one that talked about it. And that, hey, it's like this. I work a 9 to 5. Actually, I work more than like 8 hours, more like 12, 13, 14 a day. And I still was able to cover both of those fights. Still was able to cover both of those fights. Sent the representative there. And once again, it's that Devin Haney. But this is what I was talking about, these promotional companies putting media people. And that's basically what happened. Steve Fulton's fight totally ignored by most mainstream boxing media. I'm talking about nobody talked about that fight. But like I said, it was cool that I got that I got credential for that fight, because y'all all know that I've been having a lot of difficulties getting credential for PC events. Now let's see if it continues. And I'm gonna leave it at that. I'm gonna be quiet for now. Let's just see if it continues. But anyway, once again, shout out to Steve Fulton. Shout out to David Morrell. I gotta say this about David Morrell. David Morrell it's good to see a Cuban fighter like him. He in that same league with Luis Ortiz. He does try to entertain people, but what I've seen with David Morrell, he's not ready for Canelo or David Benavidez. He's a long way from those guys. He's a long way from those guys, and you just have to tell the truth. I'm gonna talk about that. I'm gonna talk about that down. I'm gonna talk about that down the line, because in New Way and Steve Fulton, that would be a hell of a fight. The question is, would Bob Arum be willing to make that fight? That's a hell of a fight. It would sell tickets. It would sell. I can tell you that much. That fight would definitely sell tickets. So I am gonna ask Bob, would he be willing to make? Bob just said, "Hey, I'm willing to work with the other guys." So I'm gonna ask him about that. I'm gonna ask him, is he willing to make that fight down the line? Steve Fulton is like, damn, him and the New Way can fight. They could fight. But that's going to be basically what you may have. Once again, is he fight with this network, he fights with that network. That fight is probably at least a year away. Yeah, appreciate it. So yeah, man, but that was just unfortunate, man. I'm happy that Devin Haney got all the shine, but I feel bad that what happened with Steve Fulton happened, because like I said, that fight went under the radar. I'm talking about that fight was stealth. I'm talking about that fight was John Cena. I'm talking about you couldn't see that fight. And basically, nobody did see that fight except me. Nobody covered that fight in mainstream. I consider myself being mainstream boxing media. Yeah, I don't have 100,000 subs like some of the other dudes do, but I'm a credentialed, media member who cover boxing. And based off, my competitors, my allies, whatever you want to call it, I'm the only one that talked about this fight. And like I said, once again, I'm not trying to hate on nobody, but at the end of the day, you got to tell the truth. You tell the truth. I mean, it's pretty much obvious, because people told me that they went looking for the fight and they couldn't find it except on my channel. And by the way, if you want to review the video of Steve Fulton's post-fight press conference is on my channel, because like I said, I might have the only footage. I might have the only footage. I'm talking about for real though. I might have the only. I mean for real. It might turn into lost footage. But this is why they should stop scheduling fights. All these promotional companies need to try to find some common ground to where these events don't clash with each other. That's just real talk. Just like you had two great fights on the same night. You had Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano's on the same night as Shakur Stevenson and Valdez. Two great fights, two big fights that kind of, basically to a certain degree took shine away from each event. That's the problem. So this is the one time, so you gotta keep it a buck. Top Rank, they and ESPN, they crushed the PBC this past weekend. And as you can see, the so-called pro-black channels wasn't nowhere to be found, who always talking this anti, Top Rank stuff. But they sure paid more attention to that Top Rank card than they did, the card that's that's ran by the black dude. But they love to question other people's blackness. So like I said before, take a good look. Take a good look at your so-called black, pro-black, fist in the air boxing YouTube channels. Totally busted. Like Orange Juice Jones. Don't say nothing. You go busted. You busted. If I could cover, no, for real. If I could cover two fights in the same night, you mean nobody else can do it? So there you have it. These dudes is full of it. And like I said, you seeing it with your own eyes. You seeing it with your own eyes. You seeing it with your own eyes. It ain't me, it's them. Y'all bear witness to it. Y'all bear witness to it. You seen it with your own eyes. None of these so-called pro-black, I'm with the brother, talked about the Steve Fulton fight. None of them did. None of them. I ain't got to say no names. They know who they are. And I'm gonna say this once again. I don't give a damn about y'all getting mad at me. I don't give a damn. I mean, if you mad at me, that's your damn problem, not mine's. It ain't my problem that you know what I'm saying, that you contradicted yourself and that a lot of y'all are hypocrites. What's up, man? Like I said, expose once again. All right, so let's move on. I see that George Kambosos Jr. got Canelo-itis. Now, before I go in on George Kambosos Jr. for flat out being a sore loser and basically coming across as a flat out liar, he may need to go see a shrink because he in denial. Him and Canelo is in denial, about winning the fight. Both of them got their asses handed to them. That man said, I thought the fight was close. I thought I won it. Man, please, if you don't get out of here, dude. Hey man, dude, stop it. Now keep in mind, you guys, when Adrian Broner said that he thought he beat Pacquiao, you had everybody and their mama making videos saying he didn't win that fight. Even black content creators was making fun of Adrian Broner. Same thing with Wilder and the stuff with, Tyson Fury in the glove. Everybody was saying, oh, Deontay Wilder needs to accept his loss like a man. Oh, the black channels are babying Deontay Wilder. The LDBC needs to quit Wilder and tell him to take his loss. Well, where's that same energy for George Kambosos Jr. and Canelo? They know Canelo lost, but it's crickets. I don't see none of these non-black content creators talking about that, but they love to try to police our channels and tell us what we need to talk about. So where they at? Where they at? I told you, man, you gonna get that truth bomb with me. Where they at? Where them dudes at? That was constantly trolling our channels. Hey, Wilder, I'm disappointed. I'm no longer a fan of Wilder because he's being... Well, where's that same energy for Canelo? I'm no longer a fan of Canelo because he won't accept this law. Where that at? Where that talk at? Nah, they just quiet. Well, Canelo dared to be great. No, he didn't. He didn't dare to be great if he was an overwhelming favorite to win. That's not daring to be great. That's considered cherry picking. Andre Ward dared to be great when he moved up to light heavyweight to fight Sergey Kovalev, who some people had as the #1 pound-for-pound fighter on the planet. Next to him, Andre Ward moved up to fight Sergey Kovalev. And a lot of people picked Sergey Kovalev to beat Andre Ward. Some people thought Sergey Kovalev won the first fight. I didn't. But Andre Ward ran it back and he stopped Sergey Kovalev. Like I said, Canelo thought that Bibble didn't have the experience. He thought Bibble was easy pickings. And Canelo ended up getting picked apart. He tried to cherry pick, but he got picked apart. Man. 4 times. I keep trying to tell y'all, had Bibble been more aggressive, he would have stopped Canelo. Bibble could have knocked Canelo up. Bibble gonna stop Canelo if they fight again. He's gonna stop Canelo. He gonna stop Canelo. Canelo gonna have the same ending that Chocolatito had. This time he gonna get slept. Canelo's pride gonna get in the way and he gonna get beat up. He gonna get stopped. He gonna get stopped in the second fight. But like I said before, where's that energy at? Like I said, where that energy? Where that George Kambosos need to take his loss like a man. Be a man, George. Same thing, and then the same thing with Manny Pacquiao. Nobody with common sense believed Manny Pacquiao beat Floyd Mayweather. And he said he thought he won the fight. Manny Pacquiao got a complete pass. So it's a double standard with the brothers, man. When the brothers win, it's always an excuse. You can't give a brother can't get no kind of credit. Can't get no credit, man, for nothing. You know, if he fights a certain way, people find something wrong with him. If he's a knockout artist, like Wilder. Wilder was a knockout artist. Oh, Wilder ain't fought nobody. But yet Triple G fought every mechanic, truck driver, milkman, you know what I'm saying? Pharmacists, morticians, and got all the credit in the world. But Wilder, oh, he ain't fought nobody. Devin Haney put on a boxing clinic. Oh, he ran. I'm trying to figure out how could a dude that was like jabbing the hell out of somebody run? I'm waiting for somebody to tell me that. That's all I want to know. Y'all gotta excuse me, the sun. That's the sun, but you know, I can see. But yeah, I just want somebody to tell me that. I just want somebody to please explain that to me. That's all I want to know. That's all I want to know, man. That's all I want to know. They always change the narrative. They always push the goalpost back. They always find something wrong. Tried to say Valdez was too small for Shakur Stevenson. It's just always an excuse. They said Shakur Stevenson ran. I mean, it's just pathetic. It's just pathetic. I don't even see how George Kambosos Jr. can sit up there with a straight face and say that he won that fight when he clearly got outclassed. The fight wasn't even, I'm talking about the damn fight wasn't even close. You know? I'm talking about that fight wasn't even close. I need somebody to explain to me what 4 rounds that he won. Now, I saw Aki. Shout out to Aki. You know, Aki said that those judges need to be investigated. They don't need to be investigated, but they need to be questioned. Me, myself, they need to start making it mandatory that these judges do a press conference explaining to us how they came up with the scores, especially if it's some outlandish score. But you know, the judges don't have to talk to the media. But they need to make them available to the media, because we need to start being able to question these judges instead of them being able to just walk and prance out of there. Because I definitely would love for a judge to explain to me, like I said, what 4 rounds that George Kambosos Jr. won in that fight. I would love for a judge to explain to me in that Canelo versus Bibble fight, what 5 rounds Canelo won in that fight. At best, like I said, and you being kind of generous saying that Canelo won maybe 3 rounds. So, your people call me. I will sit down and do an interview with you, and we can watch the fight together, and I need you to explain to me what rounds you thought you won. And we can watch that fight from beginning to end with the sound off, and I would love for you to tell me what rounds you thought you won. And I would like for the judges to tell me what 4 rounds, 2 of those judges to tell me what 4 rounds Kambosos Jr. won. They couldn't. They couldn't. They'll just be like, you know what, Town, we made a mistake. What we meant to do this, we meant to do that. Yeah, I know you did. As far as Canelo versus Bibble go, those scorecards was already written up at the beginning of the fight. It was already written up 7-5, except they had to change it from Canelo to Bibble, because it was so obvious that Bibble had won that fight. I'm talking about, it was no way. Like I said, it was so obvious that Bibble won that fight. It was just no way. Them judges was like, we can't give Canelo this fight. We can't give Canelo this fight. We just gonna say Bibble won. We just gonna write Bibble instead of Canelo's name. Because like I said before, one of the judges gave Canelo the first 4 rounds. Either 1 or 2 or all of the judges gave Canelo the first 4 rounds. Out of the first 4 rounds, Bibble won at least 3. So I had already said this like several times. I said when you fight Canelo, you automatically down 3 rounds. Somewhere in that fight, they're gonna find 3 rounds to give Canelo, no matter, regardless. So I'm just saying, George Kambosos Jr. he's looking really bad right now. Let's just face the fact. He was one and done. He won and done. He ain't nothing but an Australian Buster Douglas. That's all he is. He an Australian Buster Douglas. If he fight Devin Haney, he gonna get whooped on again. If I'm Devin Haney, like I said, when I talk to Bill and them, I'm not my own personal advice to them, move on from George Kambosos Jr. It ain't no reason to fight that dude again. It ain't no reason to fight that dude again. It's all, yeah, it is. It was a great day for the Bay. You know, shout out to Dame Dollar for going out there. Shout out to Dame shout out to Dame Dollar for going out there, man. Representing that Bay Area, representing that Oakland. You know, that was real right there. David Lillard to travel out there to Australia. You know, and like I said before, most people said they don't want to see no. I'm just keeping it a buck. It ain't no reason. I can't tell Team Haney what to do, but it ain't no reason for no rematch. Who want to see that again? Who want to see that again? Who want to see that again? Who want to see George Kambosos Jr. get whooped on again? Who want to see Devin Haney beat him with a simple jab? He beat him with a simple jab and an occasional lead rights, and an occasional hook. Devin didn't even really fight on the inside. He didn't even really fight on the inside and throw the uppercut. If Devin had really tried to fight him on the inside a little bit more, he probably would have stopped him. So I'm just keeping it a buck, man. Nobody don't want to see that again. I'm definitely not going back to no Australia. I'm not going. What I gotta go to Australia? What I gotta go back to Australia for? I'm not going back to Australia. For what? I ain't never gonna forget like what they tried to do to my pops. That, you know, if I'm Devin, I ain't never gonna forget that. I ain't never going back to no Australia. For what? For what? For what? Hey fella, I'ma call you tomorrow, bro, because I gotta talk to you about something. So I'ma call you tomorrow. So be a fight that's so one-sided. See a fight that's so one-sided, dude, you don't want to see it again, because it's no use. You don't it. Hey, yeah, or just text me, follow. Just text me. Either or I'll call you. But yeah, man, I don't want to see that again. It's a reason to see that again, and I'm definitely not going back to no Australia. If I'm Devin Haney, I'll be like, Australia can kiss my black ass. I came down there and I took y'all belts. I took the belts from y'all champion. Beat them with ease. I debowled them. I mean, that Australian crowd was silent. That's how you know the fight ain't even close. They couldn't get one moment in that fight. They didn't. But yeah, they knew he was getting whooped. But yeah, man, I don't want to see that again, man. I don't want to see that again. Like I said, Devin Haney, he beat the kangaroo jack out of Kambosos. Yeah, I said it. And thanks for listening. I'll be back with more later on. I'm out.